Okay, so today's notes. Let's go ahead and start 11, 19. 19, wow. Okay. So today we're talking about series. And a series means that you're going to add up all terms. And then we use this symbol here. And this symbol here is a summation symbol, okay? So when you see this symbol, it means add them up. When you see this symbol here, it means add them all up, okay? When you see that symbol there, okay? So, if I take a look at example 1, it's a question. It really is a question. It says, add them up. It says sum. Okay, add them up. What are we going to add up? We're going to add up the terms from plugging in 1, plugging in 2, plugging in 3, plugging in 4, plugging in 5, and plugging in 6. So let's make our sequence and then add them up and get a sum of our series. So first of all, we have to make it first. So I plug in 1. I'm going to get 2 times 1 plus 1. Plus, plug in 2. 2 times 2 plus 1. Plus, plug in 3. 2 times 3 plus 1. Plug in 4. 2 times 4 plus 1. Plug in 5 plus 2 times 5 plus 1. And finally, Austin, you're right, plug in 6, right? Plus 2 times 6 plus 1. Okay, that's all you do. Now, we don't have an answer yet, but this symbol says add them all up. Add what up? Well, you guys, you got to start with 1, plug in 1 through 6. Thumbs up? Okay, it's not that bad, right? So now, we're going to have an answer of, let's see, I'm going to have 3 plus 5 plus 7 plus 9 plus 11 plus 13. And I'm just going to use my, this is easy enough, I don't need a formula, right? I could use a formula, but I don't need a formula, so I'm just going to go pretty much 3 plus 5 plus 7 plus 9 plus 11 plus 13. And I get an answer of 48. Okay? So we make all the terms, and we add them up. It's pretty easy. I mean, the concept's easy, isn't it? It's not that hard. Okay? All right. Number 2. Wow, 1 to 27. But we have a formula. We have a formula. We have a formula. If all we're going to do is just do n, the formula is to do our n times our n plus 1 divided by 2. And that's the formula for that one right there. Now let me go back to our journal so you guys can see this, okay? So in our journal,
can't we just plug in 27 to that?
Well, you got to plug in 1, then 2, then 3, then 4, then 5, then 6. Yes, you can plug in 1, 2, 3, and you plug it all the way through, and then you can add them all up. Yes.
Add them up.
Yeah, you got to add them up. So, but the problem is that I don't want to do it that way. Too long, too many numbers, too many places for me to make a mistake. But if I go back to my journal, we just got some notes on this. If I take a look at my notes on this, and I got this formula right here. If it's I or plain old n, so they got the same thing where it's the sum of n equals 1 to 27. Instead of I, it's n. So it's this formula here, except it's a 3n. In our question, it's a 3n. So what I'm going to do is this. I'm going to use my formula, but I'm going to multiply this whole thing by 3 when I'm done. Does that make sense? So I'm going to use this formula. So 27 is my n, right? So n is 27. Let's plug in 27 first. I'm going to go, okay, I can do this. I'm going to go 27 times 27 plus 1, all divided by 2, right? And I'm going to get an answer. So I'm going to use my calculator. I'm going to go 27 times 27 plus 1, and then divided by 2. And that gives me the answer of going 1 plus 2 plus 3. So I get an answer of 378. So, I'm not done. Okay, this is the answer if I went 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus 4 plus 5 plus 6 plus 7 plus 8, blah, blah, blah. I got the idea? That's the answer. I didn't want to do it the long way. But I'm going to multiply that by 3. Does that make sense? Because it's 3 times that. So I'm going to take this answer, I'll times it by 3. So I'm going to make sure I go and multiply it by 3. So I take and multiply this answer by 3. Multiply this answer by 3 times 3.
1,134.
Yeah, I got 1,134. 1,134. Okay, good. Okay, not bad. And again, I will say that you can do every one of these the long way. But why, right? That's why we have formulas, okay? All right, number 3. Sure looks like it's the I squared one, the n squared one. So if I look at my journal, I got a formula for that one too, right? I got this formula right here for the squared one, right? So the formula we have for our squared one is my n times n plus 1 times my 2n plus 1 divided by 6. And that takes care of my I squared, okay? So my I is, or my n is 18, right? That's what I'm going to plug in, is I'm going to plug in my n equals 18, right? So I'm plugging in 18 here. So I'm going to go put 18 there, 18 there, 18 there. So I'm going to rewrite this as 18 times 18 plus 1 times 2 times 18 plus 1 divided by 6, right? So I'm going to use my calculator. I'm going to go, okay, I'm going to go 18 times 18 plus 1 times 2 times 18 plus 1, and then divided by 6, and I get an answer of 171, okay? So I got 171, except we had 5 times that, right? So now I got to make sure I go 5 times that, because I really had 5 times these numbers, so I multiply that by 5, and I get an answer of 855. Okay, not bad. And again, I'll reiterate that if you forget the formulas, then you just got to do it the long way. It's a drag, right?
Do it.
John?
I found a number way bigger than that.
Yeah,
Did I make a mistake?
So did I.
Yeah, I think you made a mistake.
It was really big.
Okay, 18 times 18 plus 1 times 2 times 18 plus 1 divided by 6. Yeah, me too. I don't know why I got a different answer. This time I got an answer 2,109. Did you guys get that?
Yes.
All right. I don't know. I must have pushed the wrong button. 2,109 times 5. Thanks, guys. How about?
Is that like including the divided by 6?
Yeah. So I got 10,545. Yeah, I must have pushed the wrong button in my calculator. Thanks, guys. I did get the wrong answer. It happens even to me, doesn't it? And John makes a mistake every now and then too, so you know it's all good, right? Okay, does this seem pretty easy? Okay, Vicky, thank you. Okay, so turn the page. Okay, now, example 4. I'm going to do this. So, we're going to plug in 1, we're going to plug in 2, we're going to plug in 3, plug in 4, plug in 5, plug in 6, plug in 7, plug in 8, forever and ever and ever, but all the way up to 20 into all of this. I'm thinking there's got to be a better way, and there is. There's a formula for n squared. We just did it, right? Yeah, there's a formula for n squared. We just did it, right? So I'm going to go 2 times my n times my n plus 1 times my 2n plus 1 divided by 6. And the 2 is from that 2 right there, okay? So there's my first formula, plus, minus, there's a formula for this one too, isn't there? So minus a 3, and there's a formula for this one. This one's a n times an n plus 1 divided by 2, okay? And what we're going to do on the 5 is we're going to add 5 each time. We're going to add 5, and we're going to add 5, and we're going to add 5 every single time. How many times are we going to add 5?
Every single.
So we're going to make it a 5n plus a 5n because I'm going to plug in 1, I'm going to plug in 2, I'm going to plug in 3. Now, I've got a cool formula. I've got a really good formula for getting the answer to this without having to make it, right? Much better. So what's n in this case? What am I going to plug in? 20. So I'm going to go, okay, I can go 2 times my 20 plus my 20 plus 1 times my 2 times my 20 plus 1 divided by 6 minus my 3 times my 20 times my 20 plus 1 divided by 2 plus my 5 times my 20. Let's see it squished in there. Kind of squished in there. So once I start recording, you guys, I cannot zoom it in or out, so I'll just have to move it over, okay? Okay, how am I doing? So I plugged in 20, and now I'm just going to use my calculator. Hopefully I won't make any mistakes. It happens. Huh? That way? That way. What's this thing? You like it there? Okay. So I'm going to plug it in. 2 times 20 times 20 plus 1, which is 21, times 41, right? Divided by 6. So this answer is a 5,740 plus, minus, let's see what this is, 3 times 20 times 21 divided by 2, and I get an answer of 630 minus 100. Just going to use my calculator to get the answers. Yeah, thanks, Isaac. Thank you. Yep. So 5,740 plus, minus, subtract 630 plus 100, and I get an answer of 5,210. Okay. Now, before I move on, what I did is I plugged in fast. So I plugged in 1, then I plugged in 2, then I plugged in 3, then I plugged in 4, then I plugged in 5, all the way until I plugged in 20, then I added them all up. No way, I don't want to do it that way. So formula, right, makes it nice and easy for you, okay? All right, now, example 5. So now I want example 5 to be a formula. So it says sigma notation, okay? So I want example 5 to be a formula. So I'm going to start with this. Okay? Right? Start with that. And tell me what these numbers are. What kind of numbers are these? N squareds. So let's go with an N squared. Perfect, okay? I agree with that, okay? What's the first number I want to make? 1. So let's start with N equals 1. And what's the last number I want to make? 6, or 36, so it's got to be 6 squared. So I'm going to put my 6 up here, okay? Does that make sense? Now, the only thing I want to do now is make it go from positive, negative, positive, negative. This actually should have been a negative. Typo, it should have been a negative. Okay? Do you remember yesterday how I showed you how you make it go from positive, negative, positive, negative? I'm going to multiply this by a negative 1 to the n power. Okay? We just made a formula. Thumbs up. Okay. Number 6. Write in sigma notation. So start with that. Okay? Write in sigma notation. Start with that. Okay, what do I notice? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Remember, n is always these numbers. 1, 2, 3, 4. What do I notice? 1, 2, 3, 4. So what am I going to have for a formula? Just n on top, right? Just n on top, because if I put n on top, if I plug in 1, then I plug in 2, but then over, it's a fraction, over what? Nice. It is n plus 1. It is n plus 1, because you plug in 1, I get 1 half. I plug in 2, and I get 2 thirds. I plug in 3 and I get 3/4. Nice job, Caden. So what number am I going to start with? I'm going to start with what? N equals? And I'm going to go to what? Infinity. Ooh, cool. Why did I put infinity up there?
This keeps going up.
Yeah, wasn't that easy? Dot, 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 okay? All right, we can do this, right? This is not so bad. Let me go ahead and stop the recording.